with Ms. Davis.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We'll have the roll call.
Mr. Amendola?
Here.
Mr. Kraus?
Here.
Ms. Perry? Ms. Glosser?
Here.
Ms. Damas? Here. Mr. Rosario?
Here.
Mr. Lavasser?
Here.
Mayor Bloom?
Here.
Solicitor Corbel?
Here.
Engineer Minsterman?
Here.
Public Works Director Kezarowski?
Here.
All right. Well, the approval of the bill list, February 26, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Going through some of the bills, though, there's some questions though that I have myself.
Okay.
I just want clarification on a couple of things though. There was.
Does everyone have their microphones on?
Yeah.
Dude, can you hear me now?
No? Very little.
All right, I'll try to speak a little louder then.
Thank you.
There was actually a bill in there though that I saw though, for Earthlink, and I just didn't know who that belonged to. Is that for the borough itself? Is that police? Is that fire?
No, that's the police, I believe.
Police cars.
Yeah,
Good.
that's the
That's
police.
the police
car.
station?
Internet police car thing.
Oh, okay. And, there was, I think there was something else, let's see, those were quick. No,
You can email me prior to if you.
no, I know, that's my mistake though, for not sending something to you earlier on that. There's these mail tubes that, they were paid for Andreas Sabaco on here.
Oh,
And
that was military banners. When people purchase military banners, if they live out of state, they get the long ones we hang up and the little ones that go in your yard, we
Okay.
mail out to residents. And if they don't live around here because their family member is deceased or what have you,
Mhm.
then we have to mail them to them.
Okay, clarifies that then. All right, I think that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion regarding the bills list? Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. All that opposed? All right. Moving on, we have the approval of the minutes, February 12, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All that opposed? All right. Approval of the minutes. Are there any citizen comments this evening for any agenda items? Here we go. Is this a,
That's a thank you, please read, and trash can.
okay.
So those are not on the agenda.
Hold on here. Because we have a community cleanup.
Those are just trash cans.
Oh, just, okay, all right. We'll hold on later. All right. Since there are no community comments for anything on the agenda, we're going to move forward to the acknowledgement. We received written reports, January 2018. We have the treasurer's report, the financial report, the Act 511 report, trash collection reports, property tax collection report, the manager's report, the police report, the EMS report, ordinance officer's report, building inspection report, public works report, fire department report, and library report. All right. Moving on, we have the mayor's report.
Actually, I'm going to open to discuss with council. We had that discussion about the road humps for Ewing Road from Promenade back to the terminus at the ball field. And Mr. Berry was here at the last meeting concerning speeding in the area. Never had a problem there, and I knew that it would happen as soon as the road got paved. But down there, for all those years, the road had never been paved, it was full of potholes, and it was in bad condition. Now that it's been fixed, we're gonna have this issue that's gonna come up. My suggestion to council was to install some portable speed control devices along Ewing Road. The manager has got an estimate for 6 of these rubber speed humps that can be installed. They're either permanent or temporary. And originally, during the paving,
Speed humps, okay, yeah.
originally during the paving, again,
Just trying to- She has her volume too loud.
Yeah, you have your volume too loud, Atlas.
get feedback, Alice.
Yeah,
Or
we're
she needs to
getting
mute,
feedback.
or mute,
Okay.
mute yours.
Okay, yeah, here. There. There.
Well, now she
Now she won't be able to hear
She
it,
won't,
so.
she needs to mute hers on her.
Oh, all right.
And then we won't pick it up.
All right, yeah, okay. Yeah, mute yours on your end.
I did.
Okay.
I turned it off.
Okay, originally during the paving project down there, the engineers came up with 6 suggested locations to install speed humps. We went through, the borough went through with paving the roads without speed humps, and I believe that Mr. Berry has a legitimate concern when baseball season opens down at the fields. I'm suggesting that we install 3 temporary speed humps along Ewing Road in 3 separate locations, which can be determined between the Public Works and the engineers. Now, these rubber speed bumps they're movable, they're portable, they don't need any large crew to do it. They can be installed easily. If anybody's going up to Green Tree, up to Parkway Center, and is taking a shortcut up in Green Tree, you'll see 2 of them on the road, which have been there for years. They do not deteriorate. And if necessary, at the end of the baseball season, they can be removed and stored for the winter. Or if there became an area that was a problem area, that this could be moved and put in that area without putting asphalt on, which are not movable. So I'm just asking council if we would install 3 on Ewing Road to be determined by the police and Public Works, and have them available for those taxpayers down in that area on that very narrow road. And it's council's call on whether or not to purchase it or not. But the asphalt, about $2,000 less per. So for the installation, but that's permanent, and they chew up. So I'd like to see council take a look at this and authorize the purchase of these 3 speed humps, and we can figure out where we'll put them as far as to protect the citizens and the people that walk down in that area. Oh, I'm sorry, the estimated cost per unit is asphalt's $3,000 and the removable ones are $5,000. So that's $2,000, be $6,000 more if we got 3 than what would cost for the asphalt ones, which are not movable. And that's what I'd like to see happen.
Question, do they get drilled into the asphalt or
Yeah.
not?
And they-
Screwed.
And they got spikes or screws that go down in, and then when you want to remove them, you can remove them and you're good to go. And then you can plug those holes.
How long do the normal asphalt speed humps take to kind of deteriorate? what's their like list?
Well, actually, the thickness, they last a long time. I mean, the asphalt's
Yeah,
pretty
we've had them down here, and they're out in front of our buildings, and they have been here, they have been through hurricanes, they have been through everything, and they're just as good as new of 5 years ago. I think it's a good investment to do those.
Are you talking the rubber ones, Alice?
Yes, that is.
Okay, okay.
The ones on Backland have been there.
Yeah, but they've been replaced. The ones on Backland have been replaced.
Oh, okay.
Just the fact that they're portable, I mean, that's a
portability
big,
makes it-
big plus.
If you get
Right.
a problem area, it's becoming a sustained problem area, yeah, you can scoop one over there, you know, and leave it in that area for a while, and then the road hump sign, you know, you put it in the ground, and you pull it back out and take them out, you know. So, that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if it would be appropriate to motion to direct the manager to procure, the manager and the public works director to procure and install the rubber speed humps when we want to have a motion this evening. So would anybody want to move and second that?
Put out a request for proposal, is that what?
No, we don't need a request.
Oh, you don't?
We have I have a question.
So, okay, so you just get one price, that's it, and then?
So what we need to,
Time for one company.
3 quotes.
There's only one company that sells.
3 quotes,
yeah, but
it's over 50.
shouldn't we have a motion?
Yes,
And then-
you should.
All right, so can we move and second this so we can go into discussion?
I move
So-
Plastic?
to, purchase the
The rubber, yeah, the
rubber
rubber
speed
plastic.
humps and have them installed at the discretion of Rob and the public works director for, Ewing Road.
And three
All right, so
bids.
let's move in second then. All right, now we can have discussion. All right, so, Ann and Rob, you guys can work together, work with the mayor, spec it out, and then,
We just have to get 3 quotes.
and you guys, under the procurement code, go ahead, or borough code, we will procure those.
3
Right,
telephone
once I get 3
quotes.
quotes.
All right, very good. So,
Before you vote, you'll need to ask the
Yep.
public.
Okay. May I ask our public works director, for his opinion about one over the other? Because I heard that you said that the asphalt lasts a long time. Do you have a particular preference one over the other?
Well, I think the durability with the rubber ones, that the council or the borough decides to actually install in place, we'll save expenses on that because we could take it off the Ewing and put it somewhere else in the borough. Asphalt's a permanent fixture and you don't have that flexibility of possibly moving that, taking it to another location.
Okay, so
That's why the increase in price, I believe, is what it is.
Okay, so you prefer the removable ones?
I've seen them in Braintree, I don't think they remove them, they're always, they stay, they put them, they've been there, they are very durable, and they've been there probably for a good at least 7, 8 years. So, I mean, I think it's well worth the money, and then you have the flexibility of moving to different locations throughout the borough.
Thank you.
all right, and then would anybody from the public like to comment on this discussion that we're having on this motion? Any takers? All right.
I have a question for Rob, if I may,
Right,
Mr.
yeah.
President. So, what's the likelihood, I guess, well, the likelihood would come from maybe Mr. Mayor, in the mayor's office, but what's the likelihood, or what have you, how often do these things get moved?
I would say unless council or the mayor's office or the police department make a recommendation, we'll leave them in. I plan to leave them in all year round. I mean,
Right, so in essence, if Green Tree, we're saying, we've seen them in Green Tree, and Green Tree hasn't moved them in 20-odd years.
I don't know if it's,
Right, relatively, but the likelihood of actually moving them is probably slimmer than you think?
again, it's probably gonna come to council, referrals from the public, unless they're in, you might get requests from different streets, different locations. I mean,
Okay.
I would say that it's still the flexibility. That's probably the best, saving money that way. I know it's a $2,000 more.
So it's a $2,000 like insurance policy towards the future moving on a different street if we have a resident who requests them, essentially.
Right.
So it's like getting the other, okay.
Yeah, actually,
Redirect? If
yeah.
I understand what you said, that there's potential more durability with the rubber ones over the asphalt ones. So we're really talking about two potential advantages?
Yeah, in my opinion also, let's say there's some utility work that has to go on, you can remove them and reinstall them, not, they're recyclable, put it that way. All right, so, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, all that opposed? None opposing, motion carries. All right. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, moving on, we have the engineer's report. Mr. Minsterman?
Thank you. Okay, good to see you. Thank you, Mr. President. A couple things. One is the 2018 road program. An update for that is that we're anticipating going out for bids this week on the program. It has been established. The streets are developed. There is an add alternate, one additional street in case the pricing of the original base bid comes in low. You may be able to add a street depending on the pricing, so you have that flexibility. The corrective action work for 2018 that relates to the sanitary sewer system specifically is excavation and lining repairs and the CCTV, the televising contract for what you're required to televise from your O&M plan each year. All those details are going to SHACOG. You participate in the SHACOG multi-municipal contract, and that should be going out in the next month or so as far as when all the municipalities get their data to SHACOG and they bid that project. The ADA ramp project, CDBG year 43, we're anticipating the final concrete pour on 2 ramps this week, so that project should finish up as far as all of the ramps being placed. Obviously, there'll be a walk of all the work and a punch list developed based on any inferior work or any damage to those ramps. The manhole inspection project, a meeting with the contractor recently has let them provide the information that we've been needing, and also they're fully cooperating at this point and ready to start their work. So that project is ready to go as well. And then finally, the splash pad repair work. You all remember this has been going on for a while. The contractor that we feel provided some workmanship or some materials that do not meet the specifications in the contract that he signed. So that work has been ongoing and working with a solicitor to enforce through his maintenance bond to have him be compelled to make those repairs and adjustments to the work. So that apparently is happening. The contractor appears to have agreed to do the repairs that we've recommended, and we'll be starting that work, or I should say he'll be starting that work sometime in the spring when the weather breaks, and Gateway will provide part-time inspection services as requested by the borough to oversee that work and ensure that it's done in accordance with the plans and specs. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Moving forward on to the solicitor's report.
Thank you. Very little to report. Still getting my legs under me, if you will. I did receive and review files from the former solicitor to ensure that anything that needed taken care of was taken care of. Also, the manager and I discussed 3 potential properties to review. These are ones that are dilapidated, etc. at 96 Noble, 52 Baldwick, and 1508 Bar. And I intend to review those and provide some options to council as to how you can move forward on each of them at the March 12th council meeting. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Moving forward to the business agenda, we have under personnel, we have a motion to adopt Resolution 2018-02, wage and salary resolution for the swimming pool personnel 2018 season.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can you unpack that for me a little bit more?
Yep, so, actually, I'll let the manager unpack that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the resolution where what we pay the summer kids, the lifeguards, it's already in the budget. We don't include it in the wage resolution at the end of the year for regular personnel, full-time employees. This is for summer employees.
How much do we pay?
It's in the resolution.
I'm sorry, I'm getting to that. Okay, I have it here now, thank you.
Yeah, it varies, like it depends, like a head lifeguard is $9 an hour, swim coach, or lifeguards are $8.75. We have attendants, concession stand workers, traffic crossing guards, non-union help, which is public works, they make $9.50. So it all depends on the position that they're gonna be applying for.
Our applications out and back in.
We've received some, we have until beginning of March. So that's the next item, is just to remind everyone, because the pool manager is not gonna be returning this year.
Oh,
So
that's a shame.
we're gonna be looking for a pool manager.
She's not returning? Is that it?
Anybody interested in pool management? Apply.
All right, any other questions, discussions for the manager? Myself? All in favor?
Aye.
All that opposed?
Thank you very much.
All right, and as Ann just said, there's a reminder here, we're in need of applications for the administration, for the swimming pool. So we do need a manager, we need the youth to come out and volunteer, well, be paid actually, not volunteering, you're actually getting paid, and be part of the pool this summer. It's a great opportunity, get a lot of experience working with people. It's a very important part of our daily life, and I just encourage that people come out and sign up. So we look forward to reviewing those applications with council. So, moving forward, we have a motion for public safety. A motion to authorize, advertise Civil Service Commission to begin the process of administrating the civil service examination in accordance with the rules and regulations to maintain a current eligibility listing, including the advertisement of the testing.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All that opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, moving forward to planning and zoning. Motion to authorize and advertise a planning commission meeting for March 2018. So we actually have to discuss the exact date, reorganization, update of the comprehensive plan. So, and is there a good day that works for you?
Usually, planning commission usually meets on a Thursday typically. But usually,
What day do we have open?
typically I usually wait until I email them to find the date, and then I'll email them since council
Okay.
authorized it. But I would think maybe, because I have to get in the paper, so maybe the 15th or the 22nd. March has 5 Thursdays, so we have,
Great,
you know,
all
we
right,
have a little time.
all right. Any discussion, hold on.
So moved.
Okay, so
Second.
second, great, thank you. Any discussion on the matter? All right, I'm just gonna add to the discussion. So, we haven't met in a while, I'm the chairman of the planning commission. We have to, get everybody together, make sure that we're all here and figure out, next steps forward for the planning commission to work on the comp plan. So that's my 2 cents on that. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, great. Thank you. Moving forward, we have a motion to open the floor for nominations to appoint 2 candidates to serve 3-year terms on the Crafton Library Board as the Borough Council approved appointees.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. And Yeah. All right, so,
There's a motion on the floor, so then you ask for the nomination.
so it's,
Did you vote on the motion? No.
No, yeah.
no, so all in favor?
Aye.
All that opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Okay. Motion to close the floor for nominations for 2 appointees to the.
We have to nominate people.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here, I'm sorry. So, actually, technically,
Ask for nominations.
yeah, so could I get a nomination for the library board?
Gerald, Deonta.
I nominate Megan Grabowski.
Right,
Gerald Deonta.
okay, all right. Anybody else? Good? All right, so, and then, a motion to close the floor for nominations for 2 appointments to the Crafton Library Board.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right. Motion to appoint the 2 approved, oh, yeah, sorry. Motion, sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All that opposed? All right, motion carries. Motion to appoint the 2 approved candidates.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, go ahead. No.
We did have some interviews, and there were 4 people, and we encouraged the other people to please apply at the library board. If you didn't get it tonight and you're not appointed by council, please apply at the library board, because we do need members there of that group.
I'd like to follow up on that and say that I thought all 4 candidates were pretty stellar, and I was impressed by all 4. I thought they all brought different skill sets to the table. It seemed as though they had different perspectives. It was probably, one of those things where, because I think that there's a chance for everybody to contribute, that all 4 candidates' skill sets would probably be really an asset, I think.
Yeah, be appreciated if all 4 of them were on that board, yes.
Yeah, and if I can add to the conversation, I as well was very impressed. Everybody steadfastly said that they would attend the meetings and participate and be stewards of the resources of that board. So I applaud everybody that applied, and I hope that everybody has a good experience on the board moving forward. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All that opposed? All right, motion carries. The 2 appointees will be Megan Grabowski and Gerard Ionota. All right, so thank you very much. And moving on here, we'll moving to administration. A motion to authorize the spring campaign letter for service line utilities as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is the last one we'll do for this company.
I sent the letter that we were canceling.
Okay, all right. Any other? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All that opposed?
No.
Okay. Moving forward to a motion to adopt Resolution 2018-03, the intent of the Borough of Crafton to work along with Allegheny County to accomplish the goals of the Live Well campaign.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Manager, may I ask you to explain the program and enlighten the public?
Yeah, under the county executive, under the leadership of the Board of Health and Health Department, they're doing a comprehensive initiative for wellness throughout Allegheny County. So some of the things that the Borough of Crafton has, we would participate in outdoor wellness trails. So, we've been cutting the weeds and things along the stairs and some of the trailways on Clearview. We have our GIS map up here this evening, so we can work on walking trails that we're going to encourage volunteerism. So we have the library board appointments. then, so there's a number of involvement in volunteer activities, health information focused on seasonal events, to promote the community gardens down at the park. So, we've committed to all of these items on a regular basis. Now we put it in writing, it's submitted to Allegheny County, the executive director under their wellness program.
Very good. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving forward to community announcements. I'd like to announce that Jordan Tax Collection will be here Wednesday, February 28th, 2018 for the trash collection invoices that you received. So please come down if you haven't sent off your check yet. 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Borough building. Then we have the annual shred event Saturday, April 14th, 2018, 9 a.m. to noon. It's in the swimming pool parking lot area, sponsored by Representative DZ and Senator Fontana. So I think we've had a really good turnout in the past on that, so I encourage everybody to bring their documents. It's really important that we try to protect our identities, and a lot of means for people to attain that information is by not disposing of your mail correctly. So please take advantage of that service. Annual community cleanup. I think we're on our 3rd year now. We're on our 3rd year on this Saturday, April 28th, 2018, 9 a.m. to noon at Crafton Park. It's West Newman Street entrance. Collection items include building materials, bulk items, household clutter, yard debris, small appliances. Items not collected, tires or rims, refrigerators, paint, or electronic waste. I'd also dissuade you from bringing down truckloads of bricks or anything along those lines. That's not really what we mean.
Question, so I can bring stuff and they will take it?
They will take it.
That's
And we encourage you to use
You can
this.
see my backyard right now.
Encourage you to use this weekend, and not use the dumpsters by the pool during the rest of the year, all right? So, don't worry about your shrubs and bring it down there, I know who you are. So, moving on, reminder, if you would like to receive a copy of the monthly newsletter, you must register your email through the Borough website at www.crafton.org. It's right here. So, we're on to the additional citizens comments section. We have 2 folks that have signed up. Aubrey Allen, 79 Taylor Street. If you could,
That's the letter.
that's the letter. Which one?
That's the letter of appreciation she left for you to read.
Oh, where is it?
I was gonna say, where is it at?
You guys have it? Oh, okay.
Oh, I was gonna say,
Wow.
should leave it with me.
Well, maybe you should read it. You read it.
Yes, sir.
Fan the camera over there.
Okay.
Thank you. Crafton Borough Council. Well, I'll tell you what.
You have your glasses there.
You want my glasses?
I'm sorry I can't be there tonight to have personally thank you, but unfortunately I have another obligation. I wanted to make known that your efforts to reduce speed and improve visibility on Broadhead have already greatly improved the sense of safety for those walking the road. I continue to research options on the tree and Paper Street and improved lighting, and we'll present them at another time. In the meantime, I just wanted to again thank you for hearing me out and attempting to find a solution to improve the safety of our borough. It's greatly appreciated. Aubrey Allen, 79 Taylor Street.
Do we have the trees done?
Have the weeds and bushes, the trees are still there. But I'll get them, once when they're operations, I'll prune them back off the right of way.
Just to follow up on that, I live right around the corner, and after that meeting, I drove down there, and I can attest that It looked great, so.
Yeah, we'll get the tree, I told her, we'll prune back the trees from the right of way, I'm not gonna cut the.
I didn't even realize there was a street sign there, to be honest, for a long
Yeah.
period of time, so it made a big difference.
We'll continue to improve that corner once, winter operations ends.
Thank you, Aubrey, for writing us and letting us know that you appreciate the efforts, and I really sincerely think the staff enjoy hearing applause for when they do a great job, so job well done, thank you. Moving forward with Susan, I always have a hard time.
Czekanowski.
All right, Technowski, 1753 Bar Ave. If you could just come forward and please state your name and address for the record, thank you.
I'm Susan Czekanowski, I live at 1753 Bar Avenue. I'd like to start by thanking Rob and Ann for working on Crafton Boulevard with the litter there. I was gonna clean it up, and I was like really insistent on it, and Rob and the crew went out on Friday, and it looks great. It had been littered for a while. So I was like, wanted to clean it up. So like, what I wanted to ask tonight is if Crafton has ever had public trash cans. Because I walk 5 miles every day, like every morning between 5:30 and 7, I walk 5 miles all through Crafton. And I pick up trash the entire time I do it. And I'm just wondering, like, I'm really excited when I get to the school because they have trash cans. And so usually if I don't have something with me, I throw it in there. But that's like the only place in Crafton that I know of.
We
where I
put
can
them
throw it.
away in during the winter seasons because it's just easier. But come spring, they'll be out. There's like some in the park, around the Borough building, across the street. I mean, there's.
But not on the
garbage cans
main walkways, like, on
Yeah.
my street, it's trashed a lot, because it's a main walkway.
well,
Down
usually in
Crafton Boulevard,
parks-
there's garbage, down
Usually
like,
in parks and public buildings are where we're gonna maintain.
Park, public buildings, and bus stops.
Yeah,
right, but I mean, like, on the street and the street cleaners and that, you guys can get that, but on the actual sidewalks, that's usually like, and that's why I brought a little article just to say, like, it's just proven that if there's a receptacle on the sidewalk, people will do the right thing and they'll throw it in the trash. It has to be made really easy for them. If it's not easy, it's not. The steps on East Crafton, all the steps that lead up, like, from Maplewood are disgusting. Like, I walk up there all the time and there's just trash lining the steps all the way on the sides, from one side to the other. And I don't know whose property that is, it's probably somebody's property too. But it's just, there's always trash in there. Whoever it is really likes Arizona tea. I can name you all the crap they throw down there. But there's no trash cans there. And I know, well, if they're put away, I understand, but I don't know if there are any on the steps at all. I've never seen them on the steps. So there's people coming from the apartments, they come down, they cross Clearview, they go down the steps, then they cross Crafton Boulevard, and they just toss it right along the steps, both sets. So I have picked up broken glass and stuff, because I don't want people who walk their dogs there to get their paws cut and stuff. But I mean, I used to live in the city, and they have public trash cans in the city on the sidewalks. It's not like, and it's the city, you know. So I don't know, I think as you move forward and you're thinking about like infrastructure, like I've talked to Phil about infrastructure improvements in the borough, like I just think that should be a priority in terms of like cleanliness and like just keeping things clean. So I'm not the only one that picks up trash, it's like there are people that walk, I've talked to, that also walk, and they say, I pick up trash too, but there's nowhere to put it. So now I know all the places when I'm walking through, all the people that have their trash cans out, and that's where I put it for now, but I don't have any other options. So I just think it would be like an improvement to the borough if we had that. I know it probably would be a pain for you guys to empty them, but I just think it would be a nice improvement to the borough, that's all. It would improve walkability and stuff.
The city puts them all in the business districts. I mean, they're not in neighborhoods per se, even in small neighborhood business districts where litter cans go. And again, it's the bus stops, business districts. I like the idea of the steps,
The
that's
steps
a
are
physical,
gross,
yeah,
they're
it's
so
something
gross.
that's,
Okay, so
ultimately, it'll take our guys going and do it and clean it up.
yeah, I don't wanna put it all on you guys though, you know.
Thank you, and I'd like to actually direct the attention to the corner over there. We actually have our GIS resource that Gateway's been working with the manager on, and we can start collecting data here, and we're working on an application with LGA to get an intern and begins collecting data. So one of the things that we identified through the comp plan was where are natural paths, where are people walking, how are we gonna improve connectivity and take advantage of these public assets that we have. So, you know, with the article that you provided to us this evening, you know, we'll review that, incorporate that. I encourage you to actually attend the planning commission meetings to get some of these good ideas heard. I encourage everybody in Crafton to take advantage of when we have planning commission meetings, to come to council, bring these good ideas, send us emails. We have a very receptive manager and public works director, and we are very serious about improving our infrastructure and working to make Crafton a clean, happy, safe community. So I really appreciate everything that Public Works has done with the manager to help us work towards those ends. Especially after a rough winter season, we had a lot of snow events, and our Public Works folks were really tied up trying to keep up with it. We did have a large snowfall, 2 feet, but those 2 to 4 inch events consumed a lot of salt. If we look at the bills list, our guys were busy, and now that we're hopefully moving into spring here, we can address some of these issues of blight and garbage and picking up on it. And I myself, when we get off 379, you see a lot of trash, and it's built up, and we take for granted our volunteers. Western Pennsylvania Conservancy, they've always done a great job in the area.
Excuse me, Mr. President, the Rotary does the exits at 79,
Okay.
actually.
Okay, great. So the
Yeah.
Rotary.
Congratulations to the Rotary. 'cause
Yes.
they-
Thank you.
Mr. President, I have a question. This is also going to be addressed to the solicitor as well. So, to Susan's point, I mean, I live near a set of those steps, and I was with my son today in a toy dump truck, a garbage truck that we actually were physically putting garbage into our toy dump truck, which I was then having him take down to my house to dump in the garbage. So, I mean, the point is well made. I see a lot of trash in a lot of places, and like everyone else, I don't really think much about it until you have to pick it up. So how do we begin to navigate the feasibility of doing something like those types of garbage cans? Because this is something that
I would have to get pricing.
Okay.
I mean, you can spend $1,000 on a garbage can. I mean, those ones in the city are all wood and they have metal inside. Those are gonna be really expensive, but Rob and I were just looking at them today because some of the ones that we do have are really old and they're falling apart and need to be replaced,
Right.
Especially the ones
In the
at the
park.
Borough building. We wanna make a good front, so we need, they're very deteriorated. So we were just looking at the prices today, so, I mean, instead of getting 5 or 6, maybe we get 10 or 12. I mean, I'd have to.
How about this as a recommendation? Maybe Fred, with his colleagues at the Rotary, the Boy Scouts, maybe there could be a Eagle Scout project in this for somebody in the community to help build these receptacles, and get some service credit out of it. And that could be savings, but also give a youth in the community a great opportunity to use their skills and for public service.
To build garbage disposal.
Yeah, those wooden
Build
ones.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd probably just build 1 or 2, you know what I mean, but I mean,
There's different options. I mean,
yeah, you can get plastic, you can get stainless steel, you can get wood, you can get, I mean, there's a million different kinds, and they range from like $100 to $5,000 for a receptacle.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to put on the floor then to instruct the borough manager to,
You don't really need a motion.
okay, then, let's find
How
three
about
options.
the one over by Serafino's?
Ugh, it's so gross down there. Sorry. It's so
That,
gross,
that,
but
that's a
it is.
real old style type that was
This
placed on the
area is
post.
just trash.
That's,
It's an old one.
that's real old and probably, the size of it makes it probably non-useful. I mean, I was saying today, I was gonna get the same 30-gallon drums that we have with
That's
public
yeah,
works
gonna
written
get-
throughout
that's
the
what we were
borough.
gonna get, 30-gallon
For
drums.
$59 a piece.
Let's
and
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna get-
they're
I'm gonna get a
stainless.
dozen
As
of
many of them as we can.
Because see, what we
I
do
mean-
is, then we put on the side, Crafton Public Works. So we, so like the ones we have now are great, like they paint green, a lot of maintenance. I said, just buy the stainless steel ones and put the initials on them.
They're
I mean,
$800.
you don't need a fancy schmancy garbage can.
Stainless steel ones
Yeah,
are,
they're
they're too expensive.
Well, whatever, okay, plastic, whatever, I don't care what they're.
Really, I'm gonna order,
What a trash can.
I'm gonna order the ones we have now. I mean, they're the most cost efficient, and they are efficient. I mean, if people have bags to put it next to, we'll grab them. I like the idea around steps. That's labor intensive, going up and down steps, and if the residents do utilize those cans, one at the top or one at the bottom, then they'll save us a lot of time. They're $59 a can, so if I get a dozen of those, start there, and scatter them around the borough, different locations, it's a start. And there is probably grant money available for streetscape programs. When you want to do the business district, you can get the one for $1,100. They're real nice and a little more classy, but for this time, I think, this time of year, I like to get those ones that we had in the past and just use those.
I was in the park today for 2 hours, and there was one receptacle on a day in which we had 12 people at the park, and I spent a good portion of the day, cleaning, through no fault of anyone else's. It was winter time, and stuff happens. There's kids down there hanging out in the pavilion. There's like nowhere to throw anything. So I mean, we definitely need
We have 55-gallon recyclable drums that we use down in the park a lot too. We have the green 30-gallon and the blue recyclable ones we'll put out. Again, this is February. I mean, this is unusual weather for February. It's great to have. And we'll get them out. I mean, we'll be doing the street sweeper's gonna be out tomorrow and the next 2 days. So it's nice to have that out, doing some cleanup around the borough too, with this break in the winter. But again, this is time of year where litter's really noticeable. All the green grass, weeds, everything's dead, so the litter's really noticeable. So that's why we do the spring cleaning. And we'll address it. We'll get the litter, we'll get the locations. Season gave us that. Crafton Boulevard from Clearview Extension, we're going up the back of next week. Scrape and clean that and do the litter debris on the hillside with the proper money guys for flagging and so forth. So.
All right, thank you.
Are these cans attached somewhere or are they just sitting?
They're going to be just sitting like we have throughout the borough house. I mean, we can chain them if it needs to be. If there's some vandalism and people, we come by and see the cans laying in the woods, then we can secure them with a chain somehow. But we don't have any problems in most locations throughout the borough that I've seen with the small 30-gallon cans. Once we explore the step, I know steps are not, could be a hangout, a problem, an issue with the younger residents. If we have a problem, then we'll find a way to secure them. So hopefully we don't. But.
Any other discussion on this item?
So you were mentioning the GIS. Perhaps with the walkers, we could begin to pinpoint, we've talked about the steps, but there are other locations, so maybe we could use our technology and our walkers and people who are collecting to pinpoint the most needed areas.
Yeah, and actually, it's good that the engineer's here. Over at Gateway, from my understanding, you guys have a team of GIS professionals that maybe if we wanted to have create a small form to help them geocode, locate these, that, we could build that data set by setting up a short form, and you guys could work with the manager to do something where maybe it would be a device, or they download, Survey 123 or Collector, and be able to use that on their phone, so that we don't have to tie up, a resource. They could just download the application and log in as a volunteer. That's always a possibility now. There's basically Esri's technology helps many communities around the world now implement ideas like this. So it's widely used. We don't have to use Esri, but we're already tied into that, and the manager and the engineer could port that data up there, and we could put it into our planning model. And that's a great thing about the technology. So for all the privacy that we lose with that marketers capturing our data, we can say that's actually a really cool side effect. The technology is very affordable and makes data management fun. It makes it a lot of fun, actually. So great.
Speaking of technology, do you think we can get Alice up on there next
We
meeting?
could, she didn't want to be up.
We could.
She doesn't want to. Come on, Alice.
No.
She said no.
All right.
I already asked her.
Things she's doing there.
I told her, I already asked her, I said, we could Skype you on there. She was like, no.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
Great. Well, great discussion for this business meeting. Want to move forward to adjournment?
I have one
Oh,
question.
okay, sorry.
Is the rain garden still going forward? I'm thinking of springtime coming. What were the plans for the plantings?
Well, most of the plants are already installed. That was part of the original construction. All we
They
have
were
left,
perennials then, okay.
yeah, they're not, yeah, so, yeah, they're perennials, and they're, you know, they are designed for rain gardens. I'm a little concerned, I did call Phil, it was more of a debris basin than it was rain garden last week, but we also had more rain than anticipated. But we also have a, maintenance bond that will cover any issues or problems with the plants, should they not come up in the spring. So we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Right,
Actually,
right. It tried to be a bad, it was just a bad time of the year when that was finished.
Right.
Things were being planted, and I was just
So
concerned about that.
they say, they have to guarantee them, so.
Okay,
yeah,
sounds good.
so, and actually, to chime in one more time, just as a public safety message, we all saw what happened in the area over the weekend with the landslides and over the past week and a half. Crafton has a lot of hills as well. I think it's incumbent upon everybody, if you see something, say something, get somebody involved. If you think your property's sliding, doesn't really happen often here in Crafton, but it can happen. The state did come through and cut a bunch of trees in different locations. So if you see some changes in your property, you're unsure, I think, I don't know if it's all right for me to say, call down here and.
Call Rob if there's a
Call
landslide.
Rob. Let us know.
911.
Call 911.
Yeah, that's the.
Call 911, let somebody know that you have an emergency, if you think your property is sliding. It's really unfortunate what happened to our neighbors around the area, so.
Mr. President, I have another piece of new business, if I may. Sure. Before we adjourn,
Yes.
where are we in regards to reaching over with Ingram on a joint code enforcement officer or some kind of part-time person? I know it's in the comp plan, I know there's been some rumblings about it here, and I'm wondering, since we went to the Blake,
Well, we have a meeting on March 8th with Ingram. That's not next Thursday. It's not this Thursday, it's the following Thursday. And, that's probably one of the things, if you want to discuss where we're at on anything, I think that's probably the meeting to discuss with Ingram. So,
I got a question. Where has there been discussion about ordinance officers divided up or split up between ourselves and Ingram? We have an ordinance officer that is doing the work, and he's doing a great job.
No.
The people, the staff in the manager's office are helping him. He's doing a good job. Why are we going to try to fix something that doesn't need fixed?
So, for clarification, Mr. Kraus, are you talking about the building inspection or the actual code enforcement?
I'm talking about what's recommended in the comprehensive plan.
So you're talking about code enforcement? Correct. Right. So, to address your question, Mr. Amendola, there have been conversations with members of council, with the borough manager, with Public Works on this, about, do we have enough manpower to help bring both communities forward on code enforcement, because it is a critical component of the community.
We have a code enforcement guy, and it's my understanding Ingram has a part-time code enforcement guy on the books now too, Dave Moore.
Right.
So,
Yes, and so
so he used to work here.
let me.
He used to work there.
Yeah, let me address your question. So last week, there was the blight workshop, so everybody knows that was advertised, everybody was invited.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Right. So, Mr. Morgan, I actually had an opportunity to have a sidebar conversation with Mr. Morgan. He's only going to be doing this for a little while, so Ingram is very concerned that, they're not going to have a resource in perpetuity. Crafton, has
A great guy in,
We have a
In
great
place.
public works
Yes.
director, yes, but he's not a full-time code enforcement person. And I've
he
had.
certainly is, he's here 8 hours a day.
So, when,
Isn't he?
he's our public works director, he's our
Yeah.
full-time public works director.
Yeah.
So there are members of this council that feel as if there needs to be more effort put forth on a full-time basis, or at least a part-time basis, to address the issues.
Really?
Mr. President, was this,
So, actually, Ms.
Can I
Perry,
make a comment here? The conversation that has been had between Ann and myself when we were going over the early intervention was not at all about replacing, but whether there was a need to augment, because Rob is our full-time public works director, and we acknowledge that he's doing a good job, but given everything that we are looking at with regard to blight avoidance and all the other things that the resolutions that we passed last year, that there may need to be more effort in addition. It's not instead, but potential augmenting, which would then potentially help Ingram. So that is the nature of the discussion. There is nothing on the table considering that we should change or remove Rob from the complement of code enforcement. Just on the table that we may need more help in that area to reach the goals of the early intervention plan and the comprehensive plan. That's all.
Thank you, Perry. And as we move forward, I just want to say it, as the president of the council, I like to have organic conversations like this. So I don't want to get bogged down in Robert's rules. I like it when we have the freedom to talk to one another professionally. So I think this is a healthy discussion. I think your questions are a great question. Why do we need to bring on additional resources? And there's a lot of opinions on the resource needs. So to have a discussion and begin, feeling out, what's feasible between the two communities, I think it's a healthy dialogue to have. And eventually, something will come forth to council where we can debate it and figure out what the best path forward for the community is.
Well, in the early intervention program, they talked about merging the police departments.
Correct.
And of course, we all sat here and thought it was a very good idea to have Mr. Michael Foreman do a study for us. And then it was up to Ingram to approve that, so that Mr. Foreman could do that study, including Crafton and Ingram. Ingram said no, they didn't want any parts of it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we move on, right? Now, as part of the intervention program, the early intervention program, you're telling me that we need to sit down with Ingram again and figure out what their ordinance problems are and try to solve them by
Yeah.
the early intervention program is a tool, it's a guideline.
Correct.
It's not, we don't have to sit there and
No.
follow it
Correct.
because obviously, we didn't follow any recommendations when it came to the police department.
Right.
I just-
However,
I just look at this and think that we're trying, or someone is trying to fix a problem that is not a problem. It's working, leave it alone, let it work.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask a question, or at least make a point of order to this effect.
Yeah, hold on one moment. I think if the mayor has to leave, we'd like to excuse the mayor. So, Mr. Mayor, would you like to be excused?
Yes, please.
Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for coming out tonight.
So as Fred mentioned quite eloquently, it's a guideline, the early intervention program and the comprehensive plan. So perhaps with any other guidelines that you have in day-to-day life, that you won't follow all of them to a T. It's not gospel, I can understand some of that. So I think, his point is well made, that merging the police forces is probably not the thing to take out of the early intervention plan or the comprehensive plan. But as they talked about in the Blake workshop, which was headed by the University of Pittsburgh Graduate School, there's a lot of interesting information there. Stabilization is needed in every community to prevent blight from expanding and prevent streets from decaying. That having a blighted house on your property, on your street with high grass or a broken window takes 15% of your home value away. It could depreciate a street by 1/3. I don't think any of us are willing to give up 15% of their assets. So I think it's very important for communities to reach out across the border and play nice with one another. Perhaps, at this time, merging the police forces, obviously, isn't in the cards. But something like this is quite feasible. And if the system was working the way it was supposed to be working, we would not be having this conversation. I would not be sitting here. We would not have to have an early intervention plan, or a comprehensive plan that actually laid out these.
Well, technically, we're not in the EIP.
No, we are not. It
Just
was
for
a
point of
preventative,
clarification.
that's why it's called an early intervention
All right,
program.
so I say
Because we are
thank you.
not in an Act 47 community, and we're trying to make,
Correct.
corrections or recommendations by this
A point of order.
company.
Can I talk? Is that
I
right?
think
Point
Brad
of
was
order?
still-
You want
I
point of
think Brad was
information?
still.
I want to make a comment.
Okay, go
Wait a minute, I
ahead.
think Brad wasn't done. Go ahead.
So.
Okay, I'll wait.
Are you done?
No.
Okay, continue.
Sorry.
Well,
You
now
gotta teach me how to use that point of order. 'Cause you got me on it. That's pretty good.
You know what, since I lost my train of thought, my point is that I think that we don't want to see Crafton become a place in which we have broken windows and high grass, and perhaps folks that aren't in a position to, do home improvement projects. So I think that my point is that clearly this is an issue. It's mentioned all throughout the comprehensive plan. We're setting up workshops to this effect for both communities to participate in. The system isn't working, or else we wouldn't have to have a blight workshop. So I think Coletta's point is well made. I think we need to augment what we currently have, and we need to tweak what we currently are doing to prevent issues like this from coming up. So that's why I'm inquiring about the status of what our outreach is to Ingram Borough and our council, and where we are at in that respect.
All right. So may.
Again, the March 8th is the meeting
Yeah.
at Ingram at 6:30. I'll send a reminder out.
So I don't want people to feel as if a conversation on code enforcement means that Crafton Council is going to take a position where we're being rude, not compassionate. I want us to be compassionate and figure out solutions, and part of helping find solutions is we have to begin collecting data to evaluate what resources we need to bring to the table. We have, in Pennsylvania, the largest aging in place population of residents, and that's really important to identify how many of those folks live in Crafton, how many of those need help, how many youth in the community need a service project. I spoke with the school board president, and he has a great bunch of kids. There are children in the community that need experience, and maybe we can identify some of those youth as resources to help out with our senior citizens. There's programs in other municipalities where other folks step in to help senior citizens, and others that are identified as they can't take care of their snow removal issues. I mean, we're collecting that. Rob's collecting that data. So the more data we collect, the better off we'll be, and we'll come up with strategies to address some of the issues. So we preserve the community, or build upon the community that we all want to live in. And so I know, if you look at each of our own properties, there's areas where we have strengths and weaknesses. I know there's things that on my property I need to improve upon. And I'm not saying we should pick on individuals because, and if I can use the word pick on, but use enforcement mechanisms to hurt them Enforcement is to sort of help bring up the entire community and come up with a strategy. So I just want to put that out there, so, you know, I know you're concerned, you have concerns, and you're looking out for the best interest of the community, and you know, we don't want, to have a community where there's over-enforcement and we're becoming petty about enforcement. So I just want to make sure that people know that's not the direction this council should go or would go. So, Freddie, you have any additional?
I understand Mr. Brad's concerns about blight. I understand that. And I don't quite understand why he wants to blame that on an ordinance officer. If you were paying attention about 15 minutes ago, the solicitor said he was gonna work on 3 properties. And so we are moving forward, aren't we? Didn't you say you were gonna work on 3
Yeah,
properties?
they were 96
2
Noble,
on-
1508 Bar, and.
Hold on.
I can
Yeah,
tell you
that's
which ones
right,
I
I got
got
the
because
floor,
I've
that's right.
been in the, I've
So-
been in
so,
those.
Brad,
That's right, I got the floor. But he did say that he was gonna work on it, and then you wanna turn around and say, well, we need more ordinance enforcement for the blighted properties. He's doing what he can. So he's gonna do what he can.
So, Mr. Amendola,
He just said that 15
yeah, no,
minutes ago.
Fred, so the issue is, we don't want to end up having to go that direction. That is the most exhaustive, financially taxing route to go. It's easier to catch something early on in the process.
Okay, well, we got a guy doing that. You know,
Mr. President,
that's the bottom line.
So, Mr. Kraus.
Yeah, so this is preventative health care for the borough. You have high blood pressure medication to prevent you from having a stroke. Going to the emergency room to treat the stroke is more expensive than doing the preventative maintenance. 96 Noble and other properties like 1508 Bar Avenue, when we want to find them before they become those properties. So that
And
we-
Baldwin Road,
Okay,
too.
and I just want to announce that on our GIS, those little green and red dots are code enforcement citations. The ones that are red are closed, the green ones are open. That's something that we've started. We are going to start with building inspection. Code enforcement, we only went back 2 years, which, you know, a lot of them are sidewalks and things like that, cut your grass. But building inspection, that's what we're gonna go with the intern, that they'll go back as far as we can find records for.
Guys wanna fix
So,
problems that
those are all
don't
being
exist.
mapped at this time, and we do it on a regular basis.
You don't know
So,
what,
I mean, you can click on a piece of property and find out what, you know, when it was set, what it was for.
so right now, to address some of the, you know, if I may say, you know, basically fixing things that don't need fixing, or however
Yeah.
you just put it. All right.
Fixing things
You
that
don't
are
know
broken.
what you don't know until you discover. Right now, I think the borough manager and public works director are doing a great job enlightening us and beginning to collect data over this past year. And you see that, it's coming to light. And we need to have these types of discussions to move forward with a plan. I mean, do we want to move forward with a motion to have that? We'll have a vote on it, yes or, up or down, you know, is this the direction we want to go? But, you know, we've had, you know, the president of council in Ingram reach out to us multiple times. They want to work with us. If we can find a point to work with Ingram that helps us all, and I would say code enforcement is one of those things that if their neighborhood looks good, they're adjacent to our neighborhood, it's good for all of us. So let's continue dialogue and come
And
back
you're
to.
gonna do what you wanna do. I'm just telling
No.
you, you don't have to
We
fix,
all, no,
you
this
don't
is
have
how,
to fix things that are not broken. All right, end discussion. You're gonna do what you wanna do anyways.
Mr. President.
End discussion. I've said my
Can I
piece.
say something? I just really, I mean,
Mr.
again, I was hired as a public works director, and I would say that's my profession, that's my field. I was asked to do this in November when Mr. Morgan retired.
Correct.
And to be honest with you, I had no discussions with anybody on council with what's going on now, or what the future is. But I think, I enjoyed the work. I mean, I'm not an ordinance professional per se, but we've been very successful in the time, a year and a half, 15 months that I've been doing this. Something was stated at that meeting. To me, that meeting was a sales pitch for a GIS system and to form out some of the ordinance officers that they had. They didn't talk about Act 90, I was shocked and surprised. That was a tool that the legislators put in, but they totally ignored it. So as far as I was concerned, we talked, Bill, that was a sales pitch at Blight meeting. It was just share information, but to me, as doing the ordinance work, I wanted to find more information about Act 90 and tools that the state had given the ordinance officers to use, and that was totally disregarded and shoveled behind the door, like they don't know anything about Act 90. But to be honest, I wanted to talk about code enforcement, blight, and the issues that was addressed. I think the big thing is people becoming compliant. And we've been successful communicating with people, even landlords that were difficult to get a hold of before my predecessor was here. Actually moving properties on North End with 71 North End, I'll say it out there, it's back, it's operation, it's functional, there's no more litter, debris, and garbage on a regular basis. But if you want to talk about blight, I mean, I'm an actor, if there's something you want to talk and discuss, I really feel I should be part of that since I've been doing it for 15 months.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, we talked briefly about new ordinance officer, hey, I'm here to serve.
Yeah, and I even,
Crafton Borough, you know, the public
if I
works
can
director.
interrupt you, I've even said, hey, one of my Fridays off, I'm gonna go for a ride-along
Sure.
with
And
Public
there's-
Works.
There are properties in Crafton Borough, there are. And 96 Noble, 1508, you're not gonna cut those loose. There's nothing you can do as an ordinance officer to prevent what's happened to those properties. When people leave, get up and leave and run away, you can chase them to the ends of the earth. Act 90 gives you some tools to do that. But that wasn't discussed at that meeting where they were trying to sell you a GIS system that we have in place now. It's up and running and functional and operational. And go out and solicit ordinance offers coming out of a program that they were running. I was a little disappointed in that because it really wasn't a training process, it was more of a sales pitch. We talked about that.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I mean, whatever council decides to do, I mean, I'll support it, but, you know, let me share some of the information and experiences I had before that decision is made. That's all I
Yes,
ask.
to make sure that, if I can translate or just reiterate some of the great points. You have a year and a half now, 18 months.
It was a year in November, so.
Okay, all right, so you have a lot of time under your belt now, looking, beginning to collect data. You know, Brad's done a lot of his own research, and one of the things, keywords he said is, it's all about preventative maintenance and how we're going to figure out what is the best way to help out our neighbors with those issues. So I think this is the beginning of the dialogue, and I think it was a great start. So is there anybody else who would like to add to the discussion this evening?
I would just like to reiterate that it is a discussion.
Right.
It's a discussion, and of course, when it gets to be anything substantive, including all of the parties, Rob, and looking at what has been done, there's no foregone conclusion. It's one of many things that's being discussed, and I want to reiterate the idea of preventive maintenance, whether, and you alluded to that a little bit, where we're talking code enforcement, you were talking more, social programs that will help with the preventive maintenance, where we can identify where, as you get to know and you see people, that are not able maybe to meet those
Understanding
codes.
their circumstances.
Exactly. And so maybe more code enforcement is the wrong buzzword to use around this discussion. So I just want to reiterate, there's no foregone conclusions at all.
All right. Are we,
Brad, did you ask some ordinance people for some proposals to
Yes, I
come
did.
in and take care of the area? Do we just renegade and go out and talk to code enforcement officers and ask them to give us proposals on something we're not looking for?
each
I'm
member
looking
of
for
council is their
You're
own
looking for
autonomous,
it?
own autonomous
Do I
person.
need to repeat myself?
If I,
No, you don't need to
Hold-
repeat
hold
yourself.
on,
Why
hold
would
on.
you go out and ask somebody for
I like,
proposals?
let's maintain a little order.
All right, well, yeah, you're the president.
Okay,
Put a leash on 'em.
So the reality is, each of you are autonomous and are free will and can do whatever you want. If you want to go find out
Really?
a piece of information, great, but you're not acting as counsel. You can't hire and fire.
Maybe ask the solicitor his opinion on that.
You can't hire and fire anybody. If you want to go research, services out there, that's from my
That's quite
understanding,
okay, that's quite okay for
if you're
you
interested
to
in
ask
looking
an ordinance officer to submit a
in my opinion,
proposal to the borough?
if you're interested in learning about all the
It's right here.
Motorola police radios.
Why would you do that?
Hold on, can we wait until order?
Well, he interrupted. Go ahead,
Mr.
I'm
Kraus,
listening.
please don't interrupt Mr. Amendola.
No,
Please
he
don't interrupt
interrupted
me. Right, let's not interrupt me. So what I'm saying is, you have to act prudently and not put this body at risk. And you have to use your professional judgment, but you're not allowed to go acquire contracts and sign off on contracts. But if you're-
Proposals.
That's not a contract.
It's not a contract, it's a proposal. He asked for a
So
proposal.
let me tact to the solicitor. Mr. Solicitor, could you comment on this?
Individual council member cannot bind council or sign contracts on behalf of council. That has to be voted on by a majority of council members. So by simply asking someone to submit a proposal does no harm to council as a body. Whether you want to do it or not, that's up to you, but there's no legal consequence, good or bad, if an individual member of council would seek a proposal for building inspection or code enforcement services, because only this body as a group can bind the borough to a contract.
Okay,
Thank you.
it would be my guest.
So, again, I said the words prudent, all right, and we all have to respect one another, and we have to respect that we have a full-time manager, and it's incumbent upon us to work with the president, work with the manager and public works director to address issues. There's members of this audience that have sent me emails, and I have escalated their concerns and worked with our management to bring forth some of the change that they asked for. And I think that process is working well, just as it did in the past. And we need to encourage each other to respect order, make sure that we're doing everything we can to bring forth a great place to live here in Crafton. So,
Mr. President, to answer Mr. Amendola's question as to why I would take it upon myself to, find like a non-binding proposal for the boroughs, because my neighbors are my constituents and they asked me to take a look at why things weren't being enforced. So I thought it prudent to do that.
all right?
If you have something that needs, if you have some complaint, you simply pick up the phone and call either the building inspector or the code ordinance officer. And you have in the past, you've called them and had complaints about things, and they got followed up and taken care of,
Okay. So,
haven't they?
So one of the things that we need to do better here, and since we're all learning how to work together here, is we have to try to do a better job of directing the questions at me so I can moderate as president. Again, I said I like having organic conversations, but I don't want this to be a situation where it's adversarial, and there's no need for it to be adversarial. Or you know the answer, you're making a rhetorical question, okay, fine. But the reality is, Brad has questions, he has constituents, he's looking for answers. I encourage him to talk to the borough manager first. If I can say that, Brad, Mr. Kraus, have I encouraged you to do that? Okay.
Correct.
All right. So let's continue on with that process. We have great resources here at the office, and if you so choose to go do your own research, it's a free country. Go ahead, but you're not binding this council.
No, I understand that. It's hard for me to understand why he's out looking for proposals.
Had you not let me hand it over to Ann, that was my next thing.
For what? For why?
He's sharing the information back. Again, we don't have committees, so this is how it's done.
So you're aware that he went out and got this proposal?
I was aware after the fact, and I said, okay, just,
Oh, you weren't aware that he was going out and asking for a proposal?
that's correct. But
You
again,
weren't aware of
he's
that? Okay.
he
No, it
has,
should have been. But that's
each
okay.
of you are individuals, and that's what's great about this country. We bring our individual perspectives and ideas and research here and share it with the body. And that's great. So I encourage you to do that. Just like Mr. Amador, when you have your concerns and questions and you've done research and you bring it forth, that's great. You know, you had issues and questions about security of the building, that's great. Bring them forward.
Have to make it.
So, but I feel as if we've belabored the point enough here. Are there any? I'd like to move forward to adjournment. So if we could move forward to adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Great discussion.
What's up?